May the Force be with you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network. We have our Golden Saber Awards on the Heel of the Ring podcast. We're going to do the TNA today. Of course, I am your host, BX Sports Jedi Kev. Salute to everyone. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel here on the Sports Jedi Network. Follow us on the Heel of the Ring podcast. Anywhere you get your audio platform as well here. Anywhere you can hear us and see us on, if it's on X, on Blue Skies, now that we're on Blue Skies, on YouTube, Rumba, Twitch, Kick, Truvo, yes, and on the Facebook pages. So everyone, look, breaking news before we do the TNA as I'm recording this video. Breaking news, TNA has signed an exclusive multi-year agreement with Sportsnet to air TNA in Impact every Thursday night in Canada from 8 to 10. That is huge. Beginning Thursday, January 2nd of 2025. They've got themselves a bigger TV deal in the great country of Canada. That's a big step for TNA. We know they're on Access TV. TNA, you can get it on TNA Plus. You can get it on Pluto TV. Pretty soon, TNA might be getting a big contract. And don't be surprised by the end of next year, 2026, or even in the middle of the year, they could easily have a big platform in the United States where more people are going to view. And I'm excited for TNA going forward with all the different things that they're doing, especially this awards. This award was really good. First time we do the TNA awards. We've been covering TNA now for almost 2 years, 2022 Slammiversary, one of my favorite, doing some watch-alongs, reviews and stuff like that. Here on the channel, we've been consistently going on Thursday nights to do TNA Impact Zone, having a great time with Premium Live event. When they come on a Friday, we split our Premium Live events with the pay-per-views or SmackDowns. We'll do a dual watch-alongs with it. So let's go right into the award ceremony. Of course, thank you for joining me here. If you're watching to the video, again, appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the WWE takes and the NXT awards. Let's go right to the first award ceremony. It's for TNA 2024 Tag Team of the Year. The contestants, the nominees are ABC, The Rascals, The System, or the Hardy Boys. This one is a good one. For me, my opinion, I like to give my breakdown on where I'm going to each one of these. For the Rascals, seeing Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel together, having that run, going to NXT, seeing them on NXT TV with Wesley, getting the Treehouse together for that short time. Really great for Zachary and Trey Miguel. Even Zachary branching off throughout the year, at the latter part of the year, getting success on a singles run title. Not my tag team of the year currently right now, but very strong consideration. The System, what they continue doing with Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards, they're in a major group that kind of dominates TNA in 2024. Their tag team ability, really strong. Great matchups they had. but still fell short of my tag team of the year. Leads me down to two, the Hardy Boys. Hardy Boys is a nostalgic tag team. They're drawing big crowds to the arenas. People want to see the Hardys. People wanted to see their return. Not enough time to gather them as a tag team of the year, but they have had a major, no pun intended, impact to TNA in 2024. To me, before the injury, and it's not a nostalgic pick, before the injury, I've always said it, and I've been saying it on the wrestling, on any of the wrestling shows that we do, our watch-alongs or reviews, or even just having a conversation with the fellow Heel of the Ring crew members. To me, the best tag team in the world, when all professional wrestling, all across the board, before the injury, was the ABC. Ace Austin, Chris Bay, to me, were the best tag team in all professional wrestling. You could have your FTRs, you have your Usos, you could say so forth, Fraxium, but Ace Austin and Chris Bay before the injury were the best tag team. I still consider, right now you could say Axiom and Nathan Frazier could be right there, top notch, top tag team in professional wrestling all across. That's the debate. But my point is, to me, ABC wins that award. ABC is the TNA Tag Team of the Year, in my opinion. Let's go to my next category here. It's going to be Knockouts Tag Team of the Year. Here are the nominees. You're going to have Marshall Slamovich and Alicia Edwards. Spitfire. You have MK Ultra. We've got Slamovich and Killer Kelly. Don't forget about Killer Kelly. And you're going to have Decay with Havoc and Rosemary. All these women could take the honor of Knockouts Tag Team of the Year. For Alicia Edwards and Marsha Slamovich, kind of felt like a replacement for Killer Kelly going on maternity leave, and unfortunately, and MLK Ultra was such a great team. Seeing them together, their dynamic, their presentation felt come short because she didn't finish the year out. It's not her fault. It's no one's fault on that one. I mean, that's life. DK. I love the fact with Rosemary, what she's done along with Havoc. Havoc, well, of course, went on the injury shelf. Couldn't finish the year strong. Would have liked to see where they would have been regardless of injury for Havoc. To me, the tag team of the year, Spitfire. Spitfire has overcome so many different adversities. They had Lawrence as their manager type of deal. They put a stipulation if they weren't going to win the Knockouts tag team title, they were going to disband. In a 2024, with a lot of tag teams teased of the split, of this dissension, of breaking up, seeing MK Ultra disband for a moment, seeing Alicia Edwards and Marsha Slamovich disband, but seeing Spitfire together, and for Judy Threat, the high energy that she brings coming out to the ring, match after match, her ring entrance, with that velocity of 100 miles an hour, and then you have Danny Nula with the powerhouse. Danny Nula was in a X Division match as well. In an early part of the year, it was crazy to see her in that and see Danny Nula get better and better the way she wrestles week after week in a tag team, and just to see them, and I want to see them wrestle more. When I hear women's knockouts, I want to see where that goes for 2025 for Spitfire. I think Spitfire is one of those tag teams for the Knockouts division that's really good. I can't wait to see which they go up against Ash by Elegance, and her partner Heather Reckless, Elegance. See where they go from that on. To me, they're the tag team of the year. I'm going to give that to both ladies. And any one of these ladies, any one of these teams of these ladies were well-deserved. Of course, the high profile was the Ultra, the MK Ultra. They were just awesome, but things happen. I love seeing Havoc. So each one of these ladies could have made a big impact, no pun intended, this year for tag team of the year, Knockouts tag team of the year. Let's go to the next category. Will be male wrestler of the year. And of course, here are the nominees. It's Frankie Kazarian, Nick Nemeth, Joe Henry, and Moose. for a male wrestler, for a Frankie Kazarian, at his age, and he's not that old. He's not older, but he's a veteran for TNA, being there from TNA from the dark ages, the Dixie Carter time, going from seeing the changes in the company, being there night in, night out, professional, hard worker, locker room leader, seeing all that he's done from, now he has the Call Your Shot gauntlet, and he's won that trophy. He's been on TNA, Impact Zone so many times, main eventing, and also allowing to go to NXT to see him work with NXT early in the year in the Battle Royal. Good just for Frankie Kazarian. He had what a year 2024 has been for Frankie Kazarian. Not quite the Wrestler of the Year yet. Not for 2024, in my opinion, my book. I'm going to go with Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth burst on the scene when he showed up to TNA. What a major acquisition. Formerly Dolph Ziggler to WWE, spinning his wheels, not being used properly in the WWE, be able to now show up at TNA, getting television time, showing you why he was featured one of the best to in-ring competitor, good on the microphone, him winning that title, but he's still not the male wrestler of the year, in my opinion, in my book, because there's still more meat on the bone for Nick Nemeth. Matches are great, but there's still something missing from Nick. There's some storylines with JBL. It has nothing to do why he's not my male wrestler of the year, but Nick Nemeth, a good choice, a good nominee there. Joe Henry. To me, Joe Henry, and let me get Moose first. Moose, the way he's continued to be world champion, the face of TNA, now X Division champion, putting on some great matches. People want to see him Moose because he is that obstacle for TNA, like big name attraction. When you think about TNA, he is the face, he is the obstacle, but he's still not my male wrestler of the year. The leader of the system. I love the fact that he trusts the system. He's the system. I love the fact that they came out when they wrestled in Slammiversary in Montreal. They came out with the American gear. He is what you call the ultra heel for TNA, that he wants to get that heat. He embraces the heel heat. But to me, the male wrestler of the year is Joe Henry. Joe Henry not only took the little bit of gimmick that he had with his guitar, with his singing, his entrance, people want to sing along. I believe in Joe Henry. We believe he has gone viral, putting people more eyes, or the casual non-wrestling wrestling fan to know who is this guy, to just make it on his own. Remember, TNA doesn't have that big coverage where you're going to see them only on Access. Now they're going to be in Canada. Now you're going to see them on Sportsnet. They got now a TV deal in Canada and so forth. Also goes by Joe Henry and the creative and everyone as a teamwork getting over. Joe Henry now crossing over to WWE NXT. He had the number one, one of the number one viral moments or the most download for his debut for WWE TV. WWE on the Peacock had his own segment. His own. If you go to Peacock, there's a Joe Henry documentary or video package in Peacock. So, to me, that's the male wrestler of the year because he's transcending not only NXT, TNA, regardless of not falling short of not winning the world title, but talk about getting people into the building, eyeballs. And the way he works, not just those two companies, he's working all over different companies, different independent teams from HOG, working all different reality of wrestling, going to different companies, and it's totally a workman. Just continue to captivate on his viral sensation. Joe Henry, to me, is TNA's male wrestler of the year. Let's go to the Knockouts wrestler of the year. Make sure I get the right graphics. And of course, Here is the Knockouts Wrestler of the Year: Alicia Edwards, Marsha Slamovich, Jordan Grace, Giselle Shaw. I'm gonna go with Giselle Shaw. Giselle Shaw, her in-ring safe worker, put on a great match whenever she's in the match with whoever she wrestles with. Her group that she had with Vidal and Savannah Evans, whatever happened, it's just kind of disband for Giselle Shaw, leaving the company on a high note and put in any main event picture. Could have had a hell of a year, but not my knockout of the year. Alicia Edwards, returning and wrestling, winning tag team gold with not just one team, but in several other teams, with Marsha Slamovich now teaming up with Miss Tasha Steele, running the system, being the face, the female face for the system in that group. Had a hell of a year, not the knockouts of the year. Jordan Grace, you could easily put her as your knockout of the year, and I'm pretty sure TNA named her. Her impact, no pun intended, at the Royal Rumble for the WWE was a pleasantly unexpected entry. Seeing her in NXT taking on Roxanne Perez at Battleground was a hell of a first time viewing for her wrestling some of the TNA NXT wrestlers that came over to the Impact Zone to take on Jordan Grace, having Jordan Grace in that 5-woman tag match at the end of the year. What a year Jordan Grace had, but I got to give it to Marsha Slamovich as my woman wrestler of the year, because there's been to me, what persuaded is a lot of rumors of Jordan Grace leaving TNA. Now that's a whole other conversation that we could have. It doesn't persuade why I picked Marsha Slamovich as my woman, the knockout of the year. Marsha Slamovich had to reinvent herself many times. She was, of course, we talked about MK Ultra, her tag team partner. Now that's a shock. Life happens. She's pregnant. Now doesn't know she's going to go on a single run. They put her with Alicia Edwards. They made it work. They captured tag team title. She's won title 2 times with MK Ultra in 1 year, then with Alicia Edwards, then the heel turn. Then she goes on her run and become at the end of the year knockouts champion, beating the most dominant knockouts champion in the last 5 years in Jordan Grace. We could argue that back and forth for another day. And not only that, but by the way, Marsha Slamovich is GCW champion throughout the year, fighting in Bloodsport in many matches for her. She's had a remarkable 2024 year and it shouldn't really influence what she does in independence on any of the wrestlers, but it does in the bumps, the work, the in-ring time, and the body, what the body goes through in all the different wrestling, and then still out there in TNA and put on a hell of a match. To me, that's what gave her the knockouts of the year, in my opinion. Now, again, Jordan Grace, there's nothing wrong with Jordan Grace if you want to choose her as your women's knockout. For me, I'm going to give it a slight to Marsha Slamovich, because Jordan Grace could have been an obvious choice. I think Jordan Grace has emptied out the knockouts division for her to compete with, and now Marsha's turn to run the knockouts division with new faces, new matchups for Marsha Slamovich in 2024, in my opinion. All right, so we're going to go on to the next topic. You got the male wrestler. Let's go. 2024 most improved male wrestler of the year. This is a nice category. I like this one here. I've got PCO, AJ Francis, Zachary Wentz, Mike Santana. PCO, most improved. I mean, I don't know how much you could improve from a PCO where he's the Frankenstein, the French-Canadian Frankenstein, when his is a spectacle to come into the ring. He is an attraction. He's kind of their TNA version. I'm not, again, before people go crazy, Undertaker, where you want to see him, he's the one wrestler in TNA that if you do a move on, you could buy the no sell. The way he rises. But by the way, he does moonsaults like a maniac at the age of 54 plus. PCO improved because now he's the digital media champion, your international heavyweight champion, winning gold for PCO and dominating that division, that digital media division. To me, as an improved wrestler of the year, I could make that case for him, but he's not the most improved in my opinion, in my book. He's one of those nominees. Consider, put him up there. Zachary Wentz. For Zachary Wentz being part of the Treehouse tag team with Trey Miguel, going through all the different things, the emotional back and forth with teaming up with Wesley, storyline wise, going to NXT, where remember he was unceremoniously released, returning there, getting the pop, the ovation, like kind of like coming to full circle for Zachary. Then having that feud with Wesley, the way he sold that. I mean, and then becoming champ. Oh, by the way, becoming X Division champion in the middle of that feud, singles run. What a year Zachary Wentz had. Also getting engaged to Gigi Dolan, which has nothing to do why he's the most improved wrestler. But what a year for Mr. Zachary Wentz, for the Rascals. And my goodness, emotional roller coaster. Put on a banger match in Chicago as well against Wesley. Great job there. Still not the most improved wrestler for me. I'm gonna go with AJ. I'm gonna go with AJ Francis as my pick, but I'm gonna give you Mike Santana. Mike Santana, what a year Mike Santana has had. House of Glory World Champion, putting on that hell of a show on the Puerto Rican Day week there in New York City, getting all those. My goodness, Santana, his matches, beating Moose in a memorable match there, taking on the system individually. Went in just so close. 2025 is going to be really up and coming for Mike Santana. He's had considerable close number 2 for the most improved wrestler. To me, is AJ Francis, because AJ Francis, when he was released from the WWE and on social media, he is like a butt of all jokes prior to going to TNA. Now in TNA, seeing him win digital media champion, seeing him being also participating in one of those heels that just fought Nick Nemeth at the last pay-per-view, Final Resolution. His in-ring commentary going viral as well, with him and Joe Henry's feud. All the different things that he does outside of, and he's like a walking promo, with getting, if you needed someone to be a heel to bring heat and get sympathy on a baby face, that's AJ Francis. You would have not never thought that he had that charisma, that opportunity, that side, if he would have not gotten an opportunity in TNA. If he would have stuck in the WWE, he probably would have been stuck in catering, just to, in the Apollo Crew section. And I hate to say that, but I'm glad for AJ Francis. When one door closes, another one opens. And he opened it to be to my pick of the most improved wrestler of the year. Again, I like what he's doing with Casey Navarro. I understand that Rich Swann had his issues, and I kind of like that where they were going with that as well. I love that he reinvented himself with First Class, using a lot of different things from kind of like a little bit of borrowing a little bit from Top Dollar, and putting his own spin in TNA. AJ Francis, First Class, all that stuff with money. I really enjoy what I'm seeing from AJ Francis, and I hope he continues to excel and be, top of the mountain of TNA for him, and as well as Santana. So any one of these guys that you want to pick as your most improved, you can't go wrong. We're gonna move on to the female, the Knockouts Most Improved Wrestler of the Year. Here are the nominees. It's Ash by Elegance, Jody Threat, Zaya Brookside, and Rosemary. We're going to go with Ash by Elegance. Ash by Elegance getting almost similar, but in a different way to AJ Francis, not being utilized too much on WWE TV. Then they send her down to NXT, where she kind of was going to a mentorship with Kalani Jordan, if you recall, before she got released. Coming on to TNA, kind of was like a borrowed kind of gimmick from Timeless Toni Storm. I like that she has her personal concierge, and seeing her getting more TV time and seeing her her in ring always been solid. It's one thing that keeps me from making her the most improved of all is she still wants to be loved. You're a heel. You're supposed to be disliked. That's the only thing she has to improve, in my opinion, for Ash by Elegance. I love to see that she's part of the Knockouts division to get more wrestling reps, more TV time. And I like where she's going with Heather Reckless, turning her Elegance. They're going to capture tag team gold. We don't know. Or they're going to be a dissension where she's going to help put Heather over in the near future. Only time will tell for 2025, but not my most improved winner. But she is improved. I'm going to go with Jody Threat. Jody Threat, I love her energy. I love the way she comes out. Especially in a day and age when knockouts or female wrestlers come out, men tend to roll their eyes, they got to go get a beer or soda or go use the bathroom. Her energy and getting the crowd riled up onto the corner, like, whoa, this is, Spitfire. She's like, yeah, she's a spark plug coming out. And she brings that energy. Her in ring with Danny Nula, they wrestle so well. They continue to excel as tag teams. Also in her individual, saw her in her GCW Bloodsport match. Did a phenomenal job. The in-ring, her working the independent scene. A proud Canadian for Jody Threat. Very improved. I think she's got more room to improve. Not my most improved, but she has improved so mightily. Not just from everything, and when she's one of those knockouts that you want to see on TNA television. This one was tough because to me it came out of these two ladies, Zaya Brookside and Rosemary, because Zaya Brookside is the baby face in TNA underdog that everybody wants to cheer, wants to go for, wants to see her when her matches come on. People want to clap, people want to get going. She knows how to get the crowd riled up, get them behind her side, like the uber white meat baby face that she is. And I love it. But I'm going to go with Rosemary as my knockout most improved, because Rosemary losing her partner, going on a singles run, coming out with her dark, demented ways and attacking, stalking first the Consigliere. If you remember from Ash by Elegance, now Jordan Grace, her feud going on with Tatum Paxley, Wendy Chu, that kind of alliance, and then turning on Wendy, having that match with Wendy Chu was a hell of a match, being cheered and recognized, and want to see her more in NXT television. To me, that's a great improvement for Rosemary in this 2024. To me, that's why she's one of my pick for the Knockouts most improved of the year, in my opinion. All right, we'll go on to the pay-per-view of the year. And of course, TNA's pay-per-view. You got Bound for Glory, Slammiversary, TNA Emergence, Hard to Kill. This one was a really tough pick for me. It was, I watched them and I'm like, man, well, how can I go with this? Because Hard to Kill was the very first pay-per-view under the new name TNA. No longer Impact. After 16 years, they're returning as TNA, and they put on a hell of a show. You had, my goodness, you had a hell of a X Division, an Ultimate X match that included women. You had Tasha Steele, you had Danny Newland, you had Jody Threat, Charles Saw, Zaya Brookside, when we saw her first make her appearance there in January. You also had Jordan Grace and Trinity, aka Naomi, before Naomi left to the WWE, for that Knockout champion. You had Decay beating MK Ultra. A lot of things happened on that to set the tone. But that could be one of your favorites, and especially what happens afterwards with the departure of Scott D'Amore. You're like, my goodness, you tend to forget because it's the beginning of the year, and you tend to forget that, man, that was an impactful one. And it to me, it's not quite the pay-per-view of the year yet. Not quite. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. You have Emergence Another good pay-per-view for TNA. It has some great matches in there as well. To me, my favorite out of all favorite was Slammiversary. I really love Slammiversary, although Bound for Glory had some hell of a matches. You have, a couple matches of the year coming out there with Speedball Bailey, but to see some of the NXT wrestlers wrestle at Slammiversary, the triple threat match, seeing the cross promotion and seeing you could say the beginning of the full houses for TNA all across their sellout capacity crowd. That's the beginning for TNA filling out arenas. To me, that's why I'd say Slammiversary is the pay-per-view of the year, because you're starting to see the place packed, where more lighting, you see more people than usual. And against people have that fear of missing out, FOMO. And from there on out, people are starting to flock to TNA and buying tickets and want to be part of the impact zone and fear of missing out. So to me, that's why I named that the pay-per-view of the year, in my opinion, because of the impact, no pun intended, I keep saying using that word a lot, that it had on the company. We'll move on to the next one. This is TNA Wrestling Match of the Year. You have this is just 4. There's so many. This is one thing I love about TNA. They have so many great matches to choose from. Let's go with the 6-man world title match. So many implications from that, and Slammiversary. We're seeing the new world champion in Nick Nemeth. Moose, who is the champion, doesn't even get a chance to be the final person eliminated to take that title off of him. It was Joe Henry who eliminated Moose, if you remember. Kazarian doing a hell of a job there, getting to the final. You also had walking weapon Josh Alexander turning heel on Joe Henry on the crowd favorite. You're like, oh, you thinking this is the time where the Joe Henry was going to get the rocket put on his back and go and just shoot up as TNA's world champion. No, the way they did the storytelling and swerving in Slammiversary, what a match. And that's why it was named one of those contender matches of the year. Secondly, third in this of the 4, it was the Hard to Kill match between Chris Sabin defending his X Division title in a 3-way with Kushida and Hijo de Vaquinho. My God, if you wanted a match where triple threat implications, we just had the Fatal 6. We had the 6-way match. Now we have a triple threat match. And this match was so great with Chris Sabin showing us he's not just a tag team wrestler. And by the way, I want to give honorable mentions to Alex Shelley being the world champion and losing it to, and that was my 5th match between Shelley and Moose that just missed the cut. I wanted to give honorable mentions on that one. And just what a hell of a match. My second to last match, that it was a tough one, because you could look at these two and like, man, the event, and it's by the same wrestler, by the way. To me, my second favorite match of the year is Mustafa Ali and Mike Speedball Bailey. And I know people say you're crazy. That should be your first one. It's on Slammiversary. It's Speedball winning the title, the X Division Championship from Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali doing the best work of his career outside of the WWE with that gimmick he had with the politician gimmick, working his ass off on TV. But I just question, why did he leave TNA afterwards when you were complaining and you worried about not having time in the WWE and your gimmick not going anywhere? Here we are invested in Mustafa. We want to see Mustafa Ali more. Then his contract expires, doesn't resign, and we're thinking, all right, he might show up at All Elite Wrestling, bigger deal, more money. He hasn't shown up on any television or anywhere else to really wrestle on a major promotion. Kind of disappointed with Mustafa. I hate to say that, kind of held him accountable a little bit towards why I didn't make him my number 1 match of the year, because you didn't follow through with more of you. I know he had that match with Nick Nemeth before leaving the company. We know you were leaving, so I don't know if they were going to be able to give you the world title, to hold, but you had the match. I kind of wanted to see more of Mustafa in TNA, left me wanting more. My number one is the reason why I picked this number one matchup. It was on the Impact Zone on a random Thursday and there was no getting people to watch the pay-per-view, not to spend the money. They didn't have to pay $29.99. I'm using as an example to watch this pay-per-view match. We gave it to you if you tune into the Impact Zone, and they balled out. It's Leon Slater versus Mike Speedball Bailey on the Impact Zone. My God, that match was just so off the chains, so good. We see Speedball gives you all that he gives you. Leon Slater was so close there to winning that title. That was a hell of a title defense on a television tape show that, again, did not have to give us that. They just put on a match because they love professional wrestling. And to me, that was match of the year because I appreciate it. Yeah, I know you have Arquinho versus Speedball Bailey in there. I kind of wanted to give to two guys that were in TNA who are going to be there, who have planted their flag. I know Speedball afterwards left to T2 LE Wrestling, but at that moment he was the champion. He had that. He was a flag bearer for the X division. He was a flag bearer for TNA, regardless of the fact that he's not there currently right now. And then Leon Slater, who's a TNA signing, who's there with them. That's why I pursued me to give them the match of the year because Leon is staying with the company, and Speedball, regardless of the fact he's not there now, you think of TNA, you think of Mike Speedball Bailey. So that's why I gave it match of the year, in my opinion, my thought process. I understand we might not agree or we could agree to disagree. All right, we'll move on to the next one. We're going to go to TNA's Wrestler Knockout Match of the Year for the women. Here are the nominees: Slamovich beating Jordan Grace at Bound for Glory. Jordan Grace defeating Trinity at Hard to Kill. Both matches from Hard to Kill and No Surrender. I put them both. Decay versus MK Ultra. Wendy Chu versus Rosemary at Bound for Glory. Wendy Chu, Rosemary, I'm going to start with them. They started their feud in NXT. They finished it off at Bound for Glory. Hell of a feud to see the two women cross-promoting, especially with Wendy Chu getting a lot of television time on both companies. Also, getting her into the ring in TNA. People cheered. People know it was a good match for Rosemary to get that victory going over. But it's not my knockouts match of the year. I'll put this back up again. I really enjoyed the battle back and forth for the knockouts tag team between Decay and MK Ultra. The surprise victory from them getting that at Hard to Kill, and then the title change immediately in No Surrender. And then, unfortunately, the pregnancy of Killer Kelly and so forth. And I think she went to do movies first prior to that and got pregnant while she went to do a movie. So whatever the case was, she's on maternity leave right now for her. That was a hell of a match, but those are not my knockout match of the year. I'm going to go for Jordan Grace and Trinity. What a rivalry battle, especially Trinity on her way out of the company. That match between these two ladies, the respect that you see these two ladies give out there on that post, on that picture you see that I use on the thumbnail, and then to see them a couple weeks later at the Rumble, they hugged, they went at it, a little tear to see them in the same company, in the same ring, and then they went at it. Continue. I wanted to see more of Jordan Grace and Naomi, aka Trinity Fatu, but that's still not my knockouts match of the year goes to Marsha Slamovich and Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace was on a, no pun intended, and a juggernaut type of run as knockouts champion, and it really was going to take a badass like Marsha Slamovich. What a way to finish the year, capturing the title for two-time champion, beating Jordan Grace. Not only that, her tag team run, winning tag team golds with different tag team partner, and Alicia Edwards and Killer Kelly, now becoming single champion. Also GCW champion, I mentioned earlier, fighting in Bloodsport. Doing the different things that Marsha Slamovich, what a year she had, and to me, she had the match of the year for Bound for Glory for the Knockouts division, in my opinion. Here's another one. Final category, ladies and gentlemen, it's going in for TNA moment of the year. This one, a lot of stuff, a lot of different things. This is going to be a surprising category here, as I'll take the banner off for a moment. Here's one. Let's go with the TNA. First time back since 2016. They're going back to the name TNA. They dropped the Impact Wrestling. They're TNA Wrestling. Back to that name again. It came with a lot of fanfare. We saw title changes. That was a great moment. We saw that title changes, the rebranding or redesigning of all their titles. You've seen an investment from Anthem changing the TNA. That's not a cheap thing to do. That's something that cost some money, and they were in vision of changing it, getting that name, recognizable name in professional wrestling in TNA. That's a big moment for TNA wrestling. And of course, and this is the way I'm going to go with this. I think it led to the working relationship with NXT. We saw, Jordynne Grace going to the Rumble, and it opened the door for Jordynne Grace, her popularity, the way the crowd accepted, reacted, and enjoyed seeing her at the Royal Rumble. It kind of intrigued Shawn Michaels' creativity to bring Jordynne Grace to NXT. Having her show up and being part of the NXT brand, and just face-to-face with Roxanne Perez, opening up the doors for that title matchup at Battleground for the NXT Women's title. And then, of course, none other than that, there's a guy in the company who self-made, went viral with his on iTunes, going and making a song, I believe, getting over, and that song was already over 2 years. I remember when he was with Yoya, he was singing that. That was a good. I remember saying that 2 years ago. This guy has a cheesy entrance, but this guy, man, it's catchy, and he made it viral. Joe Henry got himself viral when people wanted to see who is this TNA guy. Where to the fact that people were, when they saw the NXT bring in TNA, they were wanting Joe Henry. Joe Henry signed in WWE Wrestling, or even on the billboard in Clash of the Castle. Smart man in Joe Henry. All of this goes hand in hand to me. Every one of these is a moment, is the moment for TNA, because it drew now for sellout arenas after sellout arenas. If they don't turn, and to me, all of these are the moment of the year for TNA. If TNA doesn't change Impact to TNA, maybe things don't change. Maybe they're just Impact Wrestling, maybe made. We would never know. And of course, without that, Joe Henry doesn't really go viral because people remember TNA back in the day. And then seeing it on the WWE TV and then WWE programming want Joe Henry, where Shawn Michaels says, I believe, and Joe Henry being featured on Raw, even the commercial and in the background and so forth, teasing the Joe Henry arrival to WWE, being on WWE TV and Peacock, having his own special on Peacock. It goes hand in hand because now TNA is popular. People want to go, and again, fear of missing out, and that's why the houses and the pay-per-views and the live tapings for their weekend shows are going sell out hand in hand. You could even put the Hardys joining TNA, getting their resurgence, because now people stay on their meet and greets and they want to see the Hardys. They're selling out to see Joe Henry, the Hardys, Jordynne Grace, the meet and greets, the opportunity, a chance that we might see a WWE superstar appear in TNA, or if you're in the Performance Center in Orlando, you might get a TNA wrestler. We saw great working relationship. We saw Alex Hammerstone. We saw Rosemary. We saw Jordynne Grace. We saw the Rascals, Joe Henry, Frankie Kazarian. There's so many others, and then vice versa. You've seen the NXT ladies from Kendall Gray, Carly Bright, Brittany Reese, Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dane. Alex Hammerstone going to and of course you see Luca. You've seen also the North Quarter Catch Club. They were in the pay-per-view there at Slammiversary, that triple threat match. You had Charlie Dempsey. You had Travion Heights and Miles Bourne show up on a TNA pay-per-view and wrestle. So there is a great great working relationship there. And I think all in all, that goes hand in hand with TNA's greatest moments. I think either one that you pick, you can't go wrong for your greatest moment for TNA. It all goes together like a gumbo. So that is the awards for TNA for here on the Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you also would like to just make a list and just go with your favorite moments. We don't have to be all in agreement. You might have a difference of opinion. That's what makes your award ceremony or your award winner different from ours. It's your own perspective, your own point of view, doing the different watch alongs. I enjoy it. You could be chalk, you could be a chalk, or you could have your own islands of relevancy. I always tell you that. Be your own islands of relevancy. Don't be a parrot and repeat and just have fun. Just enjoy wrestling. Watch wrestling, enjoy wrestling. This was a hell of a year, 2024 in professional wrestling, regardless of if you like whatever company you do like or dislike or don't like or don't watch. This was great. You know, the working relationship with all this, you know, we also remember that AAA Max Wrestling also had an agreement with TNA this season as well. So we've seen a lot of friendly partnerships, a lot of friendly working relationship within different wrestling companies. And like Tommy Dreamer says, everyone who wins are the fans. We, the fans, are the ones that end up winning because we get to view and get to see these professional wrestlers. So with that said, thank you. Please join us. Follow us on X at BXJedi76 on X, on Twitter, also on Blue Sky Sports Jedi Network. Also follow us here on YouTube at Sports Jedi Network. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers. We would love you to be a part of it, you know, and we, of course, Netflix coming up, Monday Night Raw on Netflix. We can't wait to do that watch along. We can't wait to do some of the Genesis for TNA. Joe Henry versus Nick Nemeth. Does Joe Henry in 2025 touches TNA world title? We're going to have that and more. So we're getting ready for 2025 to enjoy a new year of TNA wrestling. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to cover it, to talk about it, to be entertained. And again, I want to get honorable mentions to all the different coaching there and all the producers in TNA. You guys are doing awesome. You guys got us captivated here, from Lance Storm to Tommy Dreamer to Gail Kim and all those that are working in Anthem, all those that are working behind the scenes in TNA. Thank you for making this company more of another alternative to watch wrestling. And I have enjoyed TNA covering, and I will continue to enjoy it. So thank you guys. Have a happy holidays. We'll see you soon, friends.